They spoke about your looks in private, but the truth will shock you. Archangel Michael says, you have been walking through days that felt like glass, careful with every step because a few whispers dug into your skin like splinters. Tonight that ends. The curtain is about to lift, and the room you could not enter, the one where your name and your face floated in the air like a rumor, will open its door, and the light inside will not hurt you, it will heal you. You felt the hum before you heard the words. A static in the ribs, the sense that eyes lingered 1 second too long, that lips moved when your back turned, that somebody held a mirror of you in their hands and found faults with the frame. That is how the fear spoke to you, as a swarm, as a fog, as a misquoted sentence you were punished for. The fear is loud, it always is. Yet truth has a different voice, the kind that doesn't need to shout. It lays a map over your heartbeat and points to places that were strong even when you thought they were broken. It reminds you that a face is not a mask, it is a record, late nights survived, storms outlived, laughter lines carved by morning. When the truth looks at you, it does not inventory flaws, it counts victories. There is a door at the end of the hallway, the one you never chose because it felt like a dare. You stand before it with a pocket of memories, the comment that stayed too long, the comparison that shrank you, the joke that pretended to be harmless but left a bruise. You aren't made of glass, you are made of bone and breath and stubborn light. Your hand reaches for the handle. Before we open it, allow me to stitch together what happened. They were gathered with your photograph on the table, 3 prints in soft light, unretouched. Someone placed a sheet of tracing paper over your portrait and began to mark it, gently, meticulously, circles at the eyes, a line at the cheek, a dot at the corner of the mouth where your smile begins like a sunrise. Another held up color swatches against your skin tone, not to erase what is there, but to honor it. The third scrolled through a calendar and nodded at a date that will matter to you soon. From the corridor you heard fragments, eyes, skin, jawline, too sharp, soften, keep it, don't touch. The fragments hurt because they were incomplete. They had a reason to speak that way. In another life, perhaps those words would be the arrows you think they were. In this one they were careful tools, used by people who intended to place you in front of a light you have earned. They were building a stage that fits you, not a cage that hides you. Their job required the language of features and angles, their purpose required the language of reverence and protection. You have never been an accident. Look at you, the quiet constellation near your left eye, the slight slant of your smile that announces joy a beat before you do, the jaw that sets when you choose yourself, the shoulders that lifted the weight of rooms that refused to see you. These are not flaws. These are signatures. They are proofs of life stamped by time itself. In the room, they taped your photo beside a map of the city and a list of names. The map shows the places you've turned away from because you thought you weren't welcome. The list includes people who still pretend not to know your worth. They thought that by repeating a rumor, they could direct your destiny. But rumors are smoke. Truth is fire. There is a woman with silver hair who used to work in shadows. She is good at telling what is real. When someone muttered that your nose is too strong, she said, "No. It is an anchor." When another suggested a filter, she shook her head and slid the transparency back across your portrait. We are not smoothing a life that took this long to become itself. Her voice did not rise. It did not need to. Authority lives inside clarity. By now I imagine your pulse has steadied, because you can feel it. This is not a trial, it is a rehearsal for an arrival. The words that stung were drafts, not verdicts. Their purpose was never to break, their purpose was to sculpt a welcome that refuses to call itself permission. You are not auditioning for your own life. You own the stage. A man with square glasses, an artist who studies how light falls, turned on a lamp and tilted it, then tilted it again, patient as tide. He explained how the soft side of morning can make the eyes look like they're about to say something brave. He pointed at your photo and said, "This person's face keeps a promise." It sounded simple. It was everything. The woman with silver hair scribbled 3 phrases on a card and pinned it below your portrait. You will see this card later, and it will knock the wind back into you in the best way. It reads, "No performance. No apology. Only presence." She underlined presence twice. Then she added the word home. There is also a boy on the team, younger than the rest, who has watched the world say cruel things about faces like his. He studied you with a softness that is not pity but kinship. "If they want to talk," he said, "let's make sure we give them something true to talk about." He meant a public unveiling that centers exactly what you were taught to hide. He meant a story that does not ask permission to be beautiful. Meanwhile, outside the room, the old chorus tried to sing you back into smallness. It listed rules you never signed, compared you to strangers, promised you a prize if you would just vanish into sameness. Tonight, please leave that chorus at the door like a pair of muddy shoes. You are going somewhere clean. The door opens. The people inside do not look up in surprise because they were expecting you. This was always your meeting, just postponed by fear. The silver-haired woman slides the card into your hand. You read the words, and the hallway's echo dies. They show you the campaign they've been building. It is not the ugly spectacle you worried about. It is a series of portraits taken in ordinary light, you near a window with winter on the glass, you on a staircase, looking not down or up but straight ahead, you in a chair you have sat in 100 times, except this time you are allowed to take up the space the chair was always offering. Their goal is not to sell you something you don't need. Their goal is to reflect you back so accurately that you stop asking a mirror for permission to exist. The young boy stands beside a large print and tells you what they heard while listening to the city talk about you in secret. They heard envy try to put on the costume of critique. They heard admiration pretend to be bored. They heard fear of your ease with yourself turn into jokes about features it could not carry. They took notes not to confirm the lies but to expose them. Then they play the second part of their recording, friends who love you in ways that healed them, strangers whose day you changed and never knew, a woman who caught your reflection on a bus window and decided to keep going because you looked like somebody who would keep going too. They spoke about your looks in private, yes, but the truth is not the wound you expected. The truth is that your face is an emblem of persistence, and people who do not know how to endure sometimes try to mock what they cannot replicate. That is their burden, not yours. You are going to be asked to stand in front of a camera. When you do, do not lift your chin like a shield or lower your gaze like a curtain. Let the lens meet you where you actually live. If a voice in your head tries to rerun those old comments, answer it with facts. This skin belongs to days you survived. These eyes know what it means to spot a kindness in a crowd. This mouth has said the hard sentence and still kept tenderness. That is not arrogance. That is inventory. They set the time for sunrise because morning has a way of proving darkness was temporary. You'll arrive early, and there will be coffee in cups that warm your hands. The team will move with reverence, not fuss. Someone will smooth the corner of a backdrop, someone else will check the focus twice, and then they will all step back because the room will feel sacred without anybody naming it so. While they prepare, I will remind you of history, your own. There was a time you accepted the first label thrown at you because it seemed easier than arguing. There was a day you tried to be invisible and failed, and it felt like defeat until you realized you were not built for erasure. There was a night when a single compliment felt suspicious, like a coin that was counterfeit, because you had learned to believe that your face was a debt you owed to the world for letting you stay. No more. You are not a debt. You are a dividend, a return on every investment courage made in you when nobody was looking. When the shutter begins to click, please breathe calmly and be where your body is. That is enough. More than enough. The first frame will show you listening. The second will show you laughing with your whole face, not because they asked for it, but because something ordinary was suddenly perfect, a crease in the backdrop, a bird on a wire, a crew member dancing in the corner to test the lights. The third will be quiet, a straight-on glance that contains the decade before you and the decade that now approaches with its hands full. This is the frame they will choose for the announcement. And yes, there will be an announcement. It will not flatter the ones who tried to manufacture scandal. It will not scold them either. It will simply go live at noon with your name, your portrait, and a sentence that refuses to bow. This is the face of the new program for dignity in public spaces. They will funnel resources into communities that are tired of being told beauty is a narrow door and worth is an even narrower hallway. Your face, exactly as it is, will open that door for others. The people who mocked will try to rewrite their lines. That is their work to do. Your work is to leave their stage and stand in your own light. The difference is not subtle, it is seismic. You will feel the floor settle under you in a new way, like a bridge that finally knows what it was built for. None of this requires you to forgive what you are not ready to forgive. It asks something simpler and harder, to set down what you were never meant to carry. The opinions that were disguised as truth, the comparisons that dressed up as concern, the joke that was a blade with a smile painted on it, let them all clatter to the ground. You do not need those props. There is a river ahead that reflects you as you are, not as they edited you. When you lean over it, you will not find the old distortion. You will see proportion, patience, and the precise kind of grace that shows up after a long fight. That fight ends tonight. The river keeps flowing anyway, and it invites you to step into a life where looking in the mirror is not a negotiation. If people speak about you in private again, and they will, because people speak, their words will have less power because you've retuned your ears. You will recognize when someone is trying to shrink you to fit the size of their comfort. You will recognize when admiration is trying to hide because it fears the vulnerability of saying, "You inspire me." You will also recognize your own voice sooner, and you will trust it. It is a good voice. It wants good for you. Let's talk about your body the way a sanctuary is discussed, not as a site for inspection but as a place where light collects. The curve of your shoulder is a balcony for summer. The freckle at your temple is a star the night forgot. The line at your throat is a road to every sentence you will speak that saves you. The world can be loud about what it thinks beauty costs. Tonight you learn that your receipt is stamped, paid in full. An old friend, the kind who tells you the truth without perfume, will text when the announcement goes live. They will say what they always meant to say but didn't have the words for. I wish I had your steadiness. You will read it twice. You will screenshot it and save it for the next time you are tempted to borrow somebody else's shape. You are allowed to adorn yourself. You are allowed to keep it simple. You are allowed to show the scar and call it history. You are allowed to let them call you handsome, beautiful, striking, familiar, uncommon, radiant, normal. You are allowed to step out of all those names and answer only to your own. When this day is over, there will be silence. Not the unnatural kind that punishes, but the cozy quiet after company leaves. You will sit with yourself, the way you sit with a friend who stayed behind while everyone else went home. You will notice the air is lighter. You will notice your breath doesn't hitch. You will notice that you can touch your own face like you would touch a relic, gently, with awe. From here, your work is simple and endless, to be available to your life. To dress in what feels like truth, to walk where your feet are wanted, to speak in a way that lets others keep their courage. To let your face be the flag it wanted to be all along, a small proclamation that says, "I made it, and I am still me." When they spoke about your looks in private, you thought your story had been confiscated. But look at you now, in the author's chair, pen steady. The draft is over. The final copy is underway, and it carries a photograph you once feared and now adore. You did not change to earn this. You revealed. Step into the days that follow with tenderness and a little mischief. Let your reflection catch you off guard, just to hear yourself laugh. Keep the card with the 3 phrases in your pocket. When rooms try to shrink you, read it again, no performance. No apology. Only presence. And then walk in like you were expected, because you were. This is your unveiling. It is also your homecoming. The door that once refused you was a myth constructed by others to make their rooms feel bigger. Your rooms are big enough for everyone you love, including the version of you that couldn't imagine this moment. Invite them in. Let them sit by the window. Let them learn what you have learned, that the truth doesn't shout, it shines. The team will handle the cameras tomorrow. They will handle the edits that do not erase you. They will place your portrait in a place where strangers can recognize themselves in your edges. You don't have to supervise the light anymore. You can simply stand inside it. Know this as final and firm. Your appearance is not a courtroom where verdicts are handed down by tired eyes. Your appearance is a field at dawn, and you are allowed to run through it without asking the grass for permission. The world tried to make you a statue. You turned out to be a bell. When you move, you ring. So let them speak if they need to. Let them gather in rooms and practice the old language. Then let the truth arrive like morning, quiet, inevitable, flooding every corner of that room until the shadows pack their small bags and leave. When the sun lands on your face, it will not ask for a caption. It will just be the sun. And you will just be you. There is nothing left to prove. Only light left to receive, and light left to give. Carry your face kindly. It has carried you farther than you know. And if tonight you need a final blessing, here it is. May the mirror never again be a stranger, may your reflection always be a refuge, and may your name, when it is spoken in rooms you cannot see, be a quiet wind that opens windows. The morning arrives like a quiet drum, steady and sure. The studio keys jingle in a pocket that carries new courage. The threshold greets you like an old friend who finally learned your true name. The light crew moves with a soft choreography. Cables curve across the floor like rivers that know where they are going. Every movement honors the promise that nothing essential about you will be dimmed. A makeup artist offers a brush as if offering a small blessing. She studies your face and smiles like she just met a rare landmark. She says nothing grand and everything kind with her hands. The first click of the shutter lands like a seal lifted from an envelope. The second click sounds like a door that never needed a lock. The third click is the sound of home finding its tenant. A print emerges warm from the machine. Your eyes and the print carry the story without begging for it to be believed. The image does not perform and does not apologize. A stylist adjusts a collar and steps back. Everyone in the room nods at the truth that does not shout. The scene holds its breath and releases it without drama. Coffee cools on a table near a notebook. The silver-haired woman circles a time on the page and underlines it once. Noon is still the plan and the plan still fits. The younger boy checks the live stream settings. He tests the audio and lets your laugh slip through like a rehearsed accident. He grins when he sees that your ease is contagious. Between setups, you look at the card they gave you. The words rest like a compass that never needs to be wound. No performance, no apology, only presence continue to be enough. The next sequence happens near a window. Outside, the city stretches and yawns like a cat that owns the morning. Inside, your posture becomes a declaration without letters. You lean against the sill and let the glass collect the day. The reflection in the pane does not ask for permission to exist. The reflection simply exists and invites everything tender to exist with it. Someone asks for a lighter background that is not white. A canvas the color of warm sand is lifted into place. The tone matches the truth you have been practicing. 3 poses later, the camera rests on a stool. Silence arrives with gentle authority. Your breathing sets the tempo for everyone else. A tiny adjustment at the jawline turns a good frame into a true one. The shift is small but the meaning is large. The lens finds what it came to find and does not flinch. The crew resets and a new angle brings the center of you forward. The room agrees without anyone taking a vote. Consensus flows from clarity. You step away for water and meet your own gaze in a hallway mirror. The look between you and you feels like a treaty signed after a long winter. The mirror no longer negotiates against you. The silver-haired woman walks up with a folder. She opens it to show layouts for tomorrow's billboards. Your portrait anchors the designs like a lighthouse that never needed to be taller. On one layout, a line of text sits under your image. The line reads that ordinary is a sacred word when earned honestly. You nod because your bones already knew. On another, only your name and the city are printed. The emptiness around them is not empty at all. The space is filled with a dignity that does not have to explain itself. Noon is near and the team gathers around a screen. The live stream window frames the countdown like a gate that will not slam. You place your hand on the desk to feel the wood steady you. The clock reaches the moment everyone marked. The young boy taps the key that sends the portrait into the world. The room stays calm because truth rarely requires noise to travel. Phones blink with the first responses. A friend writes that this face looks like a morning they wanted to live in. A stranger writes that they felt seen for the first time all week. Another message arrives from an old teacher who always loved the quiet in you. They say the quiet now speaks like a bell across a valley. You feel the note ring through years that needed it. There are other messages too, the kind made of stale dust. They repeat the old comparisons as if echo were identity. You feel the old ache knock and you choose not to open. The team shields nothing and hides nothing. They let the feed be the feed and let you be you. The silver-haired woman watches for the story inside the noise and points to where it grows. Press requests roll in like a tide with manners. A community paper asks for your thoughts on self-regard as a public act. You ask for an hour to find words that stand upright. The hour becomes a walk around the block. The city carries your poster on a bus that passes like a moving mirror. You smile because the moving mirror smiles back. Children notice because children always notice what adults deny. One waves and you wave without a script. You keep walking because walking feels like riding on pavement with your footsteps. You remember the hands that tried to shape you smaller. You remember the rooms that kept you behind the door labeled later. You keep walking because later learned your new address. Back in the studio, the crew has printed a dozen proofs. Each print is an angle that argues against erasure. The table looks like a field of flags in steady weather. Afternoon sun leans through the blinds and draws lines across the floor. The lines meet at your feet like roads that found their capital. Your shoes rest where they have always been welcome. The silver-haired woman returns with a new idea. She wants a series filmed where you speak to the mirror without breaking eye contact. She believes the world needs to see a face practicing peace. The idea does not feel like a demand. The idea feels like a porch light left on for travelers who forgot their key. You agree because hospitality to self becomes hospitality to others. The camera is simple and small. The frame is an honest rectangle that refuses trickery. You speak 12 sentences that do not wobble. Each sentence says what the years taught without drama. Each sentence lands like a spoon in a quiet kitchen. The room exhale turns into a soft ovation. The live stream numbers climb, but the team does not chase them. The team chases steadiness and finds it. The boy checks the comments for harm and finds more gratitude than he expected. A message from your neighbor appears and it makes your shoulders drop. They admit they once joined a joking chorus that was not kind. They say the new portrait taught them how to leave that choir. You accept the admission without hosting their guilt. You place it in the drawer labeled "No More Required." You choose the shelf labeled "Forward" and set your focus there. The city announces the public display schedule for the campaign. Your portrait will stand at 3 intersections and 1 station. The thought feels like an invitation to breathe deeper. Evening rearranges the light and makes gold out of everything honest. The team starts packing as if closing a successful harvest. The room says see you tomorrow in a language made of zippers and laughter. You take the card with 3 phrases and tuck it into your phone case.